Yes, hello and welcome to Sunday Night with Shane, our fifth episode today. Can you actually believe it's 5 episodes with Shano? Absolute pleasure for all of you to be joining us today. A really exciting show. Obviously, it's been a great week for Watford. It's 2 wins on the bounce. A reaction from Bournemouth is what we titled the last episode. We certainly got a reaction with wins against Wycombe and Nottingham Forest. Going to be dissecting both games. We've got a lot to cover in today's show, but make sure before we get into it, please leave a like on the video. As Freddie says in the chat, if you do enjoy, make sure you leave your comments and your thoughts in the comment section below. And any questions you have for Shane, we're going to fire them over to him as well. And make sure you do subscribe to WD18 as well. That'd be massively appreciated. Shano, how are you doing, mate? You all good?
I'm good. That was very off the cuff. I should just
mate,
say
that intro was off the cuff from me as well. Everything was off the cuff.
We are learning as we go. No, listen, it's been a great week, isn't it? It's been 2 big wins. As you say, we needed a reaction to bounce back after the Bournemouth game. What was a very disappointing game, I think. But this week we've done it. It's 2 home wins. It's 6 points. It's 3 goals scored and none conceded, which is going to help the goal difference, of course, no end. Yeah, very, very positive. It's actually quite nice, and it's also even better the fact that we've kind of done the hard graft now, and we've got a week off pretty much. There's no midweek game. We can go off. We can. Siska, I think, has spoken already about trying out some new things against Cardiff for the Cardiff game. Get stuff kind of sorted out for that, because that's going to be a really tough test, I think, for us. And we mentioned it. I think I can't remember when it was. Might have been now a couple of weeks ago or so, to be like the Cardiff game is where we could potentially see whether or not we started to turn a corner with our away form. Of course, we've got Rotherham away as well after that, and that's not going to be easy because they're fighting for their lives down there at the bottom. But the next 2 games, I think, oh God, I've already said it. We are 2 minutes and 5 seconds in, but the next two games are massive because away from home. Yeah. Listen, I said this to you before the game started yesterday. I wasn't particularly confident going into the Bournemouth game. I was very confident going into the game yesterday, and we'll get into that one in a bit. But the game in midweek, Wycombe at home, we discussed it last week. We said Wycombe would turn up and try and play for a draw. I think to their credit, they did try to do that. They just kind of ran out of ideas. They kind of ran out of options. I think in the end, you could kind of tell with them that they kind of, as I say, they turned up to kind of play for a draw. That first goal, it took us a while to kind of maybe going to start to get going, but I think once, as has often been mentioned on it, once we get the first goal, especially at home, we look in complete control. Maybe not so much yesterday, but I think definitely in the game in midweek, we look very much in control. We look like we were going to kind of push on and get the 3 points, and a lot of that has to come down to the big man up top, Andre Gray, who, listen, he's come in for his fair share of criticism throughout this season, throughout last season, but he did all the things he needed to do on Wednesday night, and I thought I was very happy for him. Actually, I was happy for him. And you could tell in his post-match interviews, it was a weight lifted. It was a big thing for him. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you score the goals. You've got to be there to stick it in the back of the net. And if that's a penalty, if it's a 2-yard shot, if it's a João Pedro spectacular, if it's a long-range effort, whatever it is, you've just got to stick the ball in the back of the net. And Andre Gray did that twice. He was fantastic, I thought, throughout the game. And for me, there were a couple of contenders I remember, I think, for potential man of the match. I actually gave it to Gray in my own mind because I thought he needed that. And I said straight after the game, do you know what? With the one thing we now must not do is to drop him, because that will just shoot that will shoot someone's confidence to pieces. We absolutely must keep him in. 3 points and job done, I think, was very much the message of midweek. But there was, of course, a little bit of a very, well, I say a little bit. There was one piece of very bad news from midweek, and it was the injury of Tom Cleverley. And that I'll be honest with you, the 3 points were great, but looking the next day and seeing the fact that he would be out until at least after the international break was a worry. Missing 3 matches at least. I honestly don't know how bad the injury is. I think the club have said a few games. I don't know if it's going to be more. It might well be more. Cleverley. As much as we love him, as much as I'm sure he doesn't really want to admit it himself, age isn't necessarily on his side. And I think the older you get, the knee ligament problems can kind of occur a lot more. I think Troy's kind of suffered from that with his Achilles problem. It will take time for the older players to kind of come back from these kind of injuries to kind of bounce back. You could tell instantly, though. I think the minute he kind of went down, you could tell it on his face. The face, I think, of the other players, that was the biggest indicator to me that something was really wrong.
Because it was Hughes in Troost-Ekong, wasn't it? That went straight over to him.
Yeah. I saw Troost-Ekong's the look on his face, and I think he knew that we'd be out, that we would be without a vital cog in our team for a few games, and he's a big miss. He really, really is a big miss, and it was a big miss coming into the game this weekend. Of course, we didn't have any Chalobah because he was suspended. Will Hughes was, of course, fit. Dan Gosling ruled out as well because of an injury. I don't think Gosling. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Gosling played midweek, did he? I don't think he did.
He didn't play midweek.
He didn't play midweek,
no.
Right? Okay. So, and of course, the confirmed news that Carlos Sanchez has signed on a free deal. I saw, of course, the preview coming into the Nottingham Forest game, and a lot of calls for Wilmot to start potentially in there. Of course, Saturday morning, game day. Very excited for that. Back at Vicarage Road, live on Sky, and a chance for me to witness the fantastic co-commentary of Keith Andrews, who will forever be a Watford legend. Keith Andrews, for me, ranks second only to Joby McAnuff on the Sky Sports battle.
Is there any Watford bias in there, Shane, or is it? You know what we should do? We should make a list of the Watford commentators, the top 10 from Shane, and then the non-Watford commentators.
Only the Watford ones. Only the Watford ones.
Go on, so what's your top 5 then, Shane? So Joby McAnuff, Keith Andrews.
Joby McAnuff for me, I love. By the way, I should just point out the very best of luck to him at Leyton Orient as well. I know he's taken on the interim role there, which means we're not going to see him on Sky. So that's sad. And Saturday afternoons have now become slightly worse. So that's that.
So 2, you got Joe McAnuff, Keith Andrews.
Joby McAnuff. I love Keith Andrews.
Nice.
I tell you who I'm
Chris
really
Ewolumu.
Chris Ewolumu.
Big Chris. He's been on a couple of times.
Seeing that guy, man, doing the coverage last season, it brought back all kinds of feels from the early days. Being
Well, he scored the first goal of the Potso era, didn't he, Chris?
Exactly, being a student and doing my GCSEs and watching this guy play and thinking, wow, I could even play for this club. But he's a good guy, I love you. No, seriously, I do. But there's obviously those guys.
I'm trying to think of anyone else, actually.
Away from Watford, though, actually, I will fill up this list with 2 other people. Danny Cowley. I'm a big fan of his.
Very good.
On
very
Saturday.
Good.
And on top of that, I did like Curtis Davis as well. I think he talks a lot of sense. But Keith Andrews deserves number 1 just for outing Anthony Knockhart in that game. If we do an end of season awards this season, I would call Keith Andrews down just to be there.
Giving out the awards.
If I ever meet Keith Andrews, I will be like, mate, you could be the biggest legend at Sky Sports. You could be. You are up there. You and Joby are up there. No, listen, look, and it's a slightly away from that.
Sorry, Shano, just on on the past week, 2 wins. We said, as I mentioned in the intro, we mentioned about how it was really important that we got a reaction.
Yeah.
What pleased you the most about the past week? Was anything in particular? But obviously the obvious is the 2 wins. But what particularly stood out for you over the past week, and in particular was good for you?
I think the togetherness. Of the team, the fact that we are kind of going into it as one. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I think that kind of plays, we, of course, always look at social media. The team seem very happy. They seem up for it. Cisco as well in particular. The social media things, I know we should really get drawn in too much into the social media side of things, but the fact that, I see it, the tunnel camera, all the players going past there, they look happy. They look like, yes, vamos, smack, vamos, smack. No, but you know what I mean? And that was a really
of course.
I should just say. But
Troost-Ekong's always the first one to the camera. He's giving it. He's giving it.
I'm serious. But there's something maybe to be said for that, because they all want to win. They're all looking to give at least 100%. All right, not everything was great yesterday, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that, about some of the. I think maybe some of the more cautious side of things, maybe. But listen, as I say, yesterday got up, 12:30 kickoff. Saw the team, Pedro in midfield. That was interesting. I thought very interesting. Interesting to see he maybe hadn't gone with Ben Wilmot in there. I thought that was a bit okay.
Yeah, what do you make of that situation with Wilmot? Just while we're on him.
I obviously, I don't really want to second guess Xisco, but perhaps he's maybe looking at Wilmot as maybe another centre back in there, another option in there. He maybe doesn't see him as a centre mid. Potential, and again, maybe for a game and for a week whereby we needed to bounce back, we needed to go maybe slightly safer, drop one of the front three. Pedro is a winger; he can play on that side. Maybe that's potentially a safer approach. Maybe Xisco's seen it in that respect. Great to see Zinkernagel start, and also great to see Andre Gray as well start. And as I said, listen, he had to start because scoring twice in midweek. For him to be dropped would have been, I think, a catastrophe for him. The bench as well looked very strong. Joe Hungbo, who we'll get on to, great to see him being giving another chance on the bench for the experience. And of course, our Lord, our Saviour, our guy, Isaac Success, with just looking at him just coming on, I just thought, oh, this guy. And I think, again, I mentioned this guy. Keith Andrews said if this guy can build up some form, this guy can stay fit. He could be a real menace in this division. Those are his actual words. He was saying that about our Lord and Saviour. I was honoured to be in the same room witnessing this moment, as it were. But,
Shane, just to bring in the comment section, mate. Matt here says, Shane, can we get your opinion on Hungbo and Sanchez first off? Particularly Sanchez, who made his debut yesterday. As Rudy says in the comments, Hungbo looked promising. Those two guys, what's your opinion on those two?
First of all, Carlos Sanchez, I think, is a very good utility player. I didn't expect him to come in with a bang straight away, if I'm honest, but I think injuries have kind of dictated that. I think if Gosling had been fit yesterday, I think Gosling would have started. I was very impressed, though, with him yesterday. He did simple things very well, breaking up the play very well. I think it's also quite crucial as well to have I know this might sound a bit weird, but potentially to have like a Spanish-speaking person in there. Because you've got the link with our right backs, you've got the link with our defence, you've got the link further up the field with João Pedro as well. Pedro, I think, was actually kind of swapped out, and that kind of understanding there. I was a little bit concerned when Sanchez actually came on. I thought Andre Gray going off was the right decision, but I thought bringing on Sanchez was maybe slightly wrong. And the reason I say that is specifically because of what happened in the last, pretty much the second half, really. The minute Sanchez came on, I could feel us sitting further and further and further and further back. Just not the first time we've seen this with this team. And I just kind of felt, okay, we're 1-0 up. It was a great goal. I should just touch on the goal first of all. Sarr, huge credit for him. Getting down to the byline. I said it last week. He didn't do that against Bournemouth. He failed to do that. He did it once. He did it a number of times. Gates and Bong would have gone to sleep last night seeing Ismaila Sarr and Senegalese flags flying in his face. Because I'm telling you now, mate, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I know, obviously, I'm biased. I think we're all biased in this chat and, all of this. But I was surprised that Gates and Bong wasn't actually sent off yesterday. I think he should have got himself a yellow card early doors. He was putting in a couple of meaty challenges on Sarr. Very lucky for me to have not kind of been disciplined further by the ref, although I expected it because he is a Premier League referee and, yeah.
It was interesting to see John Moss there, actually, to be fair. When I saw him, I was like, what?
Yeah,
maybe being relegated. They're not in the Premier League anymore.
Oh, they're getting John Moss ready for his regular trips to Vicarage Road next season. Sorry. Delete that from the final thing. No, don't. No. We'll keep that in for now. But listen, it was a good finish by Messina. He'd come under a lot of stick recently, but that's a great finish. You could tell as well from his celebration that, yes, he could tell. It meant so much.
Pumped, wasn't he? Really
a bit of relief as well for him. Obviously, there's it's been some controversy about the goal. I think Brice Samba was potentially kind of knocked out by Andre Gray, but he kind of got up, he carried on again. And I think on the flip side to that, maybe if Brice had potentially stayed down, the game then kind of would have been stopped. But Messina, fantastic shot under the keeper's legs. We go 1-0 up. But the first half, I thought we absolutely bossed it. We should have been maybe slightly more ahead. I think Andre Gray actually should have put us ahead before Messina's goal. It was a good header. I thought he was relatively unlucky. Very little from Forest though in the first half. Really, they didn't. I think in the entire game they failed to have a single shot on target. And I think when we were looking at Glenn Murray to potentially, as a potential danger man for the opposition. That didn't really come to fruition, really, and they did struggle. Second half came along though. The first 15 minutes was very, very scrappy, and you thought, okay. I thought the first 15 minutes we were going to kind of hang on, but all of a sudden Nottingham Forest were getting chances. I think Cafu, obviously the Nottingham Forest guy, not the other Brazilian,
had a decent effort, was there?
Yeah, really good effort. It was a great effort. I think Gaten Bong even had a header as well that went wide. And this is where my problem kind of lies. Going back to your point about Carlos Sanchez and the point I think in the chat with, I didn't understand why he came on. I thought we were being pushed further and further back. Gray coming off was the right call. I actually would have brought on someone like Isaac Success, someone to actually have gone at that defense, get that creativity, get that second goal. Once we have that second goal, then you can bring on your centre mids, then you can freshen up the defense. Because I think at that moment, with those guys pushing, you get the second goal. It's the sucker punch, and the sucker punch is really what we needed yesterday. And a sucker punch for us, for them, would have saved us a few heart attacks towards the end of that game.
So it was more in terms of the substitutions being made a little bit earlier, Shane. So, for example, Success should have come on early instead of Zhao being shifted from centre mid further forward.
Yeah, and then I think if we had got the second goal, then you bring on Carlos Sanchez, steady up the midfield, give someone a rest in there. Now, I've seen a few people kind of, and obviously it didn't backfire on us in any way because we went on to get the win. But, and there's a big but, we got off the hook a little bit yesterday. I spoke about Trust in midweek. I thought his general distribution yesterday was better, but he was badly caught out in one moment, and that could have really cost us. Lyle Taylor running offside, very lucky with that. Very lucky. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there wasn't a whole lot in it, really. And again, I felt like it was kind of at panic stations. Balls were kind of going in. They had a quick succession of corner kicks, heart in mouth kind of time. We've got to stop doing that. And I thought at times yesterday, I kind of have criticised it's like Cisco's overall game management. Again, I just feel like sitting on a 1-0 lead is not going to end well. You know what I mean? Like we got very lucky against Derby County, for example. We couldn't really afford another one of those. And I think personally on the balance of play, Nottingham Forest didn't create a whole lot. And if we'd gifted them a chance towards the very end of that game, that draw would have felt like a defeat. And it would have been a defeat considering other results later on in the day. So
is it more about Shane just killing the game a little bit when we're on top in the first half, killing the game, and then the second part of that is in the second half when ultimately we are going to come under pressure in games.
Yeah.
That we don't make individual errors. I don't think there was a lot of individual errors. But from my perspective, it was more. The only time you felt Nottingham Forest were going to have an opportunity was either from a cross or a set piece, right?
Yeah.
Or a mistake. It wasn't going to be through great team play, patterns of play. It was going to be either through those three avenues. And as you mentioned, that situation with the Lyle Taylor incident, that's where I think if there was going to be an element of concern for Watford fans, in your opinion, is that where it should be?
Yeah.
That lapse in concentration.
And on top of that as well, the fact you're being pushed further and further back means that you're defending as if your life kind of depends on it. It's last ditch defending. All it will take is a stray leg, a missed time tackle, and you're gifting Nottingham Forest a free kick. You know what I mean? You're gifting them a free kick in a dangerous area. They can get their men forward. They've got Glenn Murray who can stand at the end of those kind of crosses. But that was obviously a side note. We came away from that with a 1-0 win. And I do want to mention, I know the guy did mention Sanchez, but he also mentioned
Joseph Hungbo
in that. And I'll be very honest with you, mate. When he came on, I was genuinely, I was slightly taken aback by it because, first of all, this guy, we've seen fleeting appearances from him in the Man United game. I will absolutely agree with that, Fireball. Hughes was immense. Hughes actually got my man of the match yesterday. I thought he was so
I think it says Hungbo Shano.
Midfield. Does it actually say Hungbo? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Said Hughes. Hughes,
To be fair, Rudy says Hungbo looked promising as well.
No, in all seriousness. No, listen, Hungbo was fantastic. As I said on Twitter, he's genuine proof that the hard graft in the under-23s pays off. His performance yesterday, he put in a great cross. If Sarr had just been a little bit quicker, maybe narrowed himself slightly, got himself to the ball, Hungbo would have had an assist on what would have been an incredibly it was a fantastic ball. And I was really willing him on. Every time he got on the ball, he wasn't shy. That's the big thing about him. He wasn't like, oh, okay, well, I don't really fit in here. I'm just here for like, the work experience kind of thing. I'm just going to stand here at the side. I'm just going to pass the ball to the reliable players. And, hopefully if I come away with this and I haven't given the ball away to a Forest player, then that's good news for me kind of thing. No, he pushed himself forward. He looked fantastic. Genuinely, he looked like a live wire. And it was, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Hungbo coming on late was great because it stretched that Forest defence. Now, imagine if we'd maybe brought on Isaac Success or Steve Paparizza, someone to really challenge that defence. Got two very fresh players going at that Forest defence. There's more of a chance of us killing the game off, using our creativity, the creativity that we've got on the bench, combined with what we already have out there with the likes of Sarr, etc., maybe even Semmer, although, he was quite tired throughout the game and all that. But listen, Joe Hungbo will be a blueprint for all those players in the under-23s, the under-18s as well, the players that have been here now for a few years, the under-16s, the under-14s, the under-12s, etc., however many years you want to go back, to the fact that yesterday afternoon, someone who was grafted, as he said afterwards on the game, I go back to working, I go back, I put every single day, I'm putting in the effort. It showed yesterday. I was immensely proud of him, incredibly proud of him. And I just hope we see more of it. I hope we see more of it. He impressed against Manchester United. Yesterday would have been a real coming of age for him. He would have left the pitch yesterday thinking, "Oh my God, I almost contributed something massive to this game by way of like an actual goal or even an assist." The shot that he had as well was well parried as well by Bruce Samba. But listen, good on him. I hope he gets on the bench more often. And listen, I look forward to seeing him flourish at Watford Football Club. He's a credit to our club. He really is.
Yeah, Shano, it's we mentioned it in the match action today yesterday with Sam about the last time we got excited about a Watford youngster coming through, and Sam mentioned Sean Murray. Is there anyone else that you could think of where you've gone right? He's got a chance here of making it. Wilmot, obviously, we bought him from Stevenage.
Wilmot's been bought in.
In terms of actually come through the under-23s or the under-18s, I can't think of someone since Sean Murray.
I remember I did see Ryan Cassidy briefly play.
Very true.
Somebody else like, he's quality. He's been struggling, I think, for game time at Accrington Stanley, which is a bit of a worry, really. I'm sure there are other reasons, of course, for that, but I can't really think of anyone. I think if we're talking about players that were kind of being maybe imported into the club, one person I remember from our 15-16 season, I think it was Jerome Sinclair. I was genuinely quite excited to see him come. Of course, coming from Liverpool, he had a few senior appearances, I think, as well.
In the FA Cup
I remember him, and I thought to myself, okay, well, this guy could be quite decent. Got very excited when he scored in the FA Cup against, I think it might have been Oxford. Was it Oxford?
Burton at home.
Burton Albion. That was it. Yes.
That classic at the drop.
Excellent. Yes. Yes, and that was also the game I think that Brice JJ starred in as well. So
Brice JJ. Legend.
JJ. No, I wasn't singing that at all. And there's no proof that I did sing that. So no, listen, man, he's kind of the one guy that I kind of thought maybe could have gone down that kind of route of stardom, perhaps, but it's very tough, isn't it? I think maybe the one person you'd potentially consider if he was to come back in a fantasy world, or someone who's done very well in the academy and who's moved on from us. Of course, the biggest one there is, of course, Jadon Sancho, because of what he's achieved elsewhere. He was a real star. I think a few of our academy coaches as well, who were there at the time, said, there was something incredibly special with Sancho, and they kind of knew that they had a player on their hands. It's one of those moments of, like when a coach reflects on someone's career to date or after they've retired, to be like, I knew when I first saw him, he was going to be destined for stardom, kind of thing. But look, listen, Hungbo was fantastic. 2 wins, 6 points, and in the words of the mighty Colin Murray last night, Vicarage Road is now a fortress. So I will just drop that in there. You can see, and as he said, Vicarage Road is a fortress.
Didn't know he's from America.
No, he's not American. Okay, now come on. I thought that was a good Irish accent. I don't have any Irish.
Northern Irish.
Yeah. Oh no. Welcome to the EFL highlights on Quest. Next up, we go to Vicarage Road to see if Watford can maintain their unbeaten record. Now that was rubbish, I'll admit that. But my Vicarage Road is a fortress thing was funny, okay, and that was accurate. And he was very happy with us yesterday. But listen, it's a good week, and there's a smile on your face, there's a smile on my face. There's probably not a smile on Colin Murray's face now, but everyone's
fingers crossed he's not watching.
Shane let me down.
Shano, we've got. I'll tell you what, we're about halfway through, so we'll have a look through your comments and give you a breather, mate. Let's have a look through. A lot of Zinkernagel chat in the comments, actually. Caroline says PZ7 has a great weight of pass. Hughes is always immense, as Fireball says here. A lot of Humbo chat as well, which is really good. The Watford Way, make sure you go and check those guys out. Success looks in really good shape now, actually.
Yes, he does.
He does look good shape.
Yeah, he does. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think he'll play a crucial part for us if he maintains his fitness and all that. We've got a lot of options in there now. And you're hoping that for the running, the players that have been out injured, I talk about maybe the likes of Cabasele, Cleverley, Deli Bashiru, Troy. If they're all back, we've got a mostly fit squad going into the final sort of matches, and that will stand us in really kind of big stead, really.
Well, that's the thing, Shano. Success has come in with 11 games to go. He could be, if he pops up with 1 or 2 goals here or there, it could be a massive boost.
Yeah,
for us.
Absolutely.
Massive boost.
Absolutely. And if he gets back to the form that I think he showed when he first signed for us, I'll never forget when we beat United 3-1 at the Vic. His run to win the penalty, I think it was, just that burst of pace that could cause defenders an absolute nightmare.
He's got it in the locker. I think that's what we've always said about Success.
Yeah,
it's just he doesn't shown it enough. But obviously due to injuries and there's other things going on.
Yeah, and the flip side to that as well, of course, he can play up front. He can also play on the wing. I think he's also a left-sided midfield player as well. He can potentially provide a bit of cover for Sema if we're maybe looking to drop Zinkernagel deeper, depending, of course, on injuries potentially with that. I know we have spoken about Cleverly already. I hope it's not a serious one, and hopefully he'll be back. But you never know, do you? And
no.
Great to see earlier on in the week Deli Bashiru back in training, back kind of getting himself fit again, and he's almost.
He's another one. If we can get him and Cleverly back fit, it could be massive.
I almost think of it as at the start of like an Avengers series, like big fight scene. You know what I mean? Like you have like Cabasele getting himself ready. You have Troy doing like the crunches, and we're back. It's like the last three games of the season. They're all outside Vicarage Road, arms folded like this.
Here we go.
Kind of thing. Like that, you know what I mean? So,
we've got a few more comments here, Shane.
Go on.
Charlotte says, great to see Pochettino on the bench too. Adam Leventhal did a piece with about him. And Maurizio Pochettino, whose son is also called Maurizio Pochettino, spelled slightly differently. But that was a really interesting piece. So make sure you check that out. The Watford way again, James says, Wilmot needs to run a game soon.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, go on, Shane. We kind of touched on it there with Wilmot. I think there's maybe one negative at the moment in terms of the players is Wilmot, because he had a good run of games under Vladimirovic. He was getting his opportunities, whether that was it was mostly at centre back, but we saw him play at left centre back and then at left back as well. I remember the game Vladimir got sacked in afterwards. I think it was Huddersfield away. He played at left back, looked pretty good. Very versatile footballer, could play holding midfield as well. Is it a concern for you at all that we aren't giving him any game time? Or do you think Xisco's basically putting his foot down, going, right, Truce, the Kong, Sierralta are my two. They are my two absolutes. And if we absolutely need him, we'll play him. But he's not a priority at the moment. What do you make of his stance on the Wilmot situation?
I actually think Wilmot is further down in the pecking order than I think we're willing to kind of admit, really, because I think on the channel I very much kind of waved the flag really for Wilmot. I think he's as we've mentioned for a number of weeks. You know what? He's an up and coming talent for us. He's got a big future. This season I thought would have been a real breakthrough season for him. I think it started off like that very much. As you say, he started under Rivic. I just think, as you say, Xisco's come in and I think he said, okay, well, Sierralta, you're going to start, and I think he's our best centre back at the moment. I don't think we can really argue against that necessarily. You've got Truce de Kong. You've also now, unbelievably, from absolutely nowhere, you've got Craig Cathcart, who seems to have risen from the metaphorical ashes behind Vicarage Road. You know what I mean?
Peter Drury, risen from his ruins.
I was trying not to say that actually, but yeah, fair enough.
Great Cathcart has risen from his ruins.
Risen from the ashes. Spine.
Sorry, mate, interrupted you there.
Moment that was spine tingling moment though. That moment of commentary, but
goosebumps.
I think it's one of those things whereby with Cathcart, I wasn't really expecting him to kind of be in match day squads. Like he was on the bench yesterday, I think, as well, for example. And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. I think with Xisco, he's gone down the route, I think, especially with Cathcart, and I think again with Troy, experience. I need the experienced heads. I need to be able to lean and rely upon those guys. That's not
Do you agree with that, Shane?
Do I agree with that to some extent? I think the experience is going to be crucial. Yes. I don't think the experienced players in Cathcart, in Ben Foster, and in Troy should be starting games. I think they're present in and around that team. If they're on the bench, if you're like Troy, you're down there. You are kind of getting. I don't really know what Cathcart kind of if he does do that. Don't really think he does. But I think with Troy being the captain, he's got a slightly bigger role to play. Foster as well, of course, because he's a more senior pro. But Cathcart's kind of been there, done that. He's been part of a promotion season with us. I think he knows, even if he can't play every single game, he is a body in that squad and a body that will be relied upon if needed. Cabasale, of course, being injured, I think has maybe helped that. There's maybe an argument to say, okay, well, if Cabasale was fit, would Cathcart be in the squad as much? Maybe, maybe not. Wilmot is a bit of a worry. I still think he will get his time. He will get his moments, as it were. I am slightly more worried about Stipe Perizza, though. The fact of the matter is we bought in this guy, and I think a few people were waxing fairly lyrically about him being the best striker at the club. Is he the best striker? I think he's maybe the best natural out-and-out striker that we've got at the club, potentially, but we've not really seen it from him. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, Shane. Sorry to interrupt there. I think
with Isaac's success coming off the bench, if you're Stipe Perizza looking at that, and the headlines and the fanfare that was created from him, our Lord and Savior, etc., and you're Stipe and you're on the bench and you're looking at him and you're like, so what the hell have I got to do then to get out onto the pitch? I mean, the guy's been given about 10 minutes this season. Against Coventry.
Rotherham at home, I remember his partner Troy, didn't he? Yeah, he came on against Birmingham.
In fairness, sorry, I should just point out he did actually come on against Wickham as well. But again, when he came on against Wickham, a ball came into the area for him, ideal for him. He just didn't really look like he was going to get there. Is it maybe a fitness issue? Has Xisco maybe weighed up his options as to who's coming back and thinking, you're not really for me at the moment, potentially? I think
Shane,
Xisco has kind of had... Go on.
Sorry, mate. Just to maybe interject there. I think with Perizza, when he came into the club, as you mentioned it, I think there was a stat that went around about his goal-to-game ratio, and it was really good. But the problem was he hadn't actually played a lot of games. I think it was only 90 games he's played in his career or something, under 100 anyway. And I remember when he came in, I thought, well, why is this the case? And I think what's happening now is Xisco is very reluctant to give him more than a cameo because of that injury record. It does feel like their fitness is definitely playing a part because from my point of view, and I don't know whether you guys agree in the comment section, Perizza, his movement off the ball is brilliant. I think he can be a real handful. He's an asset to this team. I think he's if you maybe pick out the strikers, bar Zhao, he's probably one of the best finishers we've got. Yeah, but the issue for me, Shano, and I don't know what your stance on this is, it does feel like injuries are playing a massive part in selection, and the fact he can't keep himself fit for whatever reason, or he can't seem to prevent these injuries popping up, but it's playing a massive part in Xisco's kind of mental thinking with it.
The thing is, though, right, is that I'm not sure a lot of people maybe would have seen it on a Wednesday night, but I actually did have a stream for the match, and with these lovely, I say lovely, EFL streams, etc., they have like different kind of like camera angles, etc., whilst, I don't know, a traditional broadcaster would maybe go off for a break to kind of like keep like the camera angles going and all that, and the commentator stops talking.
Keith Andrews on commentary, that's the main thing. That's the main difference. But we
don't really have Keith Andrews in it, for like the midweek matches, and I would prefer to. In fact, the Wickham game, the stream I got for the Wickham game had absolutely zero commentary on it. So I started to do my own commentary for it, which I decided to not share with anyone.
Shay, we're going to have to get you on a watch along, mate. Me and you
Peggy
watch it
18,
together.
as it were. But for the watch along. Peggy 18. But I remember, I think at the end of the game, Paritza obviously finished the match. He came on as a substitute, the extended camera angles and all that stuff. Paritza genuinely looked like he had a bit of an injury. Like he was kind of wincing slightly. I remember seeing it, like he kind of had like his hand by like his ankle or something, obviously, saying thank you to like all like the Wickham players. And also, like he was kind of like bending down, was like, oh yeah, thank you, and he was kind of rubbing his ankle a little bit. And I didn't really think very much of it. I was like, okay, well, I don't really know kind of what's going on there. But hearing what you're saying about the injury problem with Paritza as a potential reason as to why he's not been selected, maybe there's something in that. Maybe there genuinely is something in that. And listen, I want it to work out for him. I really do. And it kind of helped him, frankly, coming into the Wickham game, expecting to maybe start the game without João. We all kind of look at Stipe. Well, Stipe is definitely our second choice, guys. Yeah, he's definitely up there. Well, actually, no, he's not, because you had Andre start. And the worst thing, I think, potentially for Stipe was, well, Andre's now gone off and scored twice. And therefore, João is back in for the game on Saturday. Yeah, he is. Absolutely. Best striker, I think, at the club. But now we can't afford to drop Andre. So even if we were thinking of starting you in a bid to kind of rest other players, well, actually, no, we now can't, because Andre's going to need to start. I can't drop a striker. And I think with Xisco, it's a kind of a good thing and a bad thing. When he's making decisions, obviously he's had a lot more time now with the squad. He's probably sitting there in his mind thinking, okay, well, I know these players now relatively well. I cannot go into a press conference and say, once Andre gets one goal, they'll start flowing. He gets 2 goals and then I drop him. Because that will just be like, that will infuriate a lot of people and it just wouldn't make any sense. And I think Stipe has maybe been a victim here of players potentially just stepping up. And I think we really have stepped up in the last couple of matches. I think how many games is now? I think 6 matches, 5 wins or something. Something like that.
Yeah, and 5 wins. The only defeat is Bournemouth. But Shano, one
João Pedro.
Sorry, go on, mate. No, go on, mate. Go on.
I think the fact that João Pedro, obviously, he picked up a yellow card and he got suspended. Yeah. The fact that he got himself suspended meant that there was then a chance for someone to come in to that position. If João kept his temper slightly, I thought he was looking like he was going to boil over a little bit yesterday, and that's why he was taken off in the end. If he keeps his temper, if injuries don't befall him, there's no reason why he wouldn't be starting every game up front. Injuries aside, of course, we are expecting to have maybe some players for the Cardiff game, Chalobah being one, which again reduces the pressure on the midfield massively. You've got Carlos Sanchez, who shows he can play a role. He's got the experience and he wants to be here. And I think if for Paritza in the 4-3-3, does he fit the 4-3-3 formation? I think potentially, I think he does. Is he a better fit than Andre in the 4-3-3? For me, no. I don't think he is. Andre can play in the 4-3-3. He proved it. Okay, we can all sit here and criticise, and I saw a lot of fans very unnecessarily criticising Andre, saying, oh, well, he scored twice against the bottom of the table, so that's absolutely irrelevant. Can he play in the 4-3-3? Yes, he can play in the 4-3-3. Yes, João can. I feel like with Stipe, he has to do, it's a bit like Troy. I think he's got to kind of adapt his game slightly. It's whether or not he'll be given the opportunity to adapt his game to fit the formation. It's also down as well, in some respects for him, maybe it's a question of attitude. Well, actually, do I really want to adapt my game? Do I really want to do the things that are needed to play in this formation? I saw a comment during the week when Stipe didn't come on. It was quite a brazen comment from someone. And they were like, well, Stipe clearly isn't very good in training then, because he's not even been looked at.
Well, just to jump in there, Shane, I don't know if you heard it. I don't know if there was a bit of music that played. Was there a bit of music that played just through the video, through the stream or not? Was it silent?
No.
Oh, okay. But basically, I was trying to get Stipe's injury record up, and then some music started playing. So I was wondering if it was on the stream, but I managed to get it up on my phone, right? So from his first injury that he sustained was 2014-15 thigh, 2016-17 another muscle problem, 16-17 another muscle problem, 17-18 distortion of the ankle, 17-18 adductor problems, 17-18 unknown injury, 18-19 unknown injury, and then 2021 arm injury. So you're talking 2, 4, 6 8 injuries since 2014-15, Shane.
That's absolutely dreadful.
For Stipe Perica.
That's absolutely dreadful.
And in total, he's missed... Quick maths here. This is where the A in GCSE maths is coming through.
Go on, Jacob. Go on, Jacob.
Right, we're probably 60, 70 days he's missed through injuries, right? Yeah. That wouldn't get me full marks, but I would have shown my work in.
I love the way you look very confident going into it. You realise halfway through, I might not be getting this one.
I tell you what, anyone who's revising for exams, I don't even know if exams are on for A levels and GCSEs at the moment. I don't think they are, but putting the revision is worth it. Not the time.
Yeah, someone actually calculate that properly for us. Thanks.
Yeah. But Shane, just on Perica, we saw a comment from Elliot actually, and we've got another question which I'll fire over to you. It seems after this week the strategy is 4-3-3 no matter what, says Elliot. I'm not sure Stipe has much chance if there's only one spot open to him. That's kind of what you're echoing, isn't it, Shane, about that?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And I think, listen, with Stipe, I was very unfair to him on another social media site where I called him the Croatian Daniel Sturridge. But, you need to have opportunities. You need to stay as fit as you possibly can. And the number of injuries he's picked up since 2014, I didn't even know that. That's a lot
of injuries. A lot of injuries, man. And
a
lot of different injuries as well.
It's not like
every single body part almost.
It's not like the man's 36, 37 years old. Man, he's only 26. He's just, he's only a couple of years older than me. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I know, I was very unfair. I think maybe when he signed, I didn't think his record was particularly great. I think the one thing that struck out to me instantly was that, okay, when you play for all these teams, you've not actually scored double figures for any side you've played for. Maybe now there's a reason for that. His injury record has kind of prevented him from doing so because he's constantly injured. And as he's injured, other players step up. We had this at the start of the season. Cabasele got injured. Sirialta stepped up. And look where we are now with Francisco Sirialta. I mean, what a revelation. The Chile fans in my comments were all absolutely right. In my messages all the time, telling me, pick pictures of him. Pick pictures of him. I've been getting pictures of him playing for Chile. I even got one guy who sent me a picture of him with Sirialta on international duty. I'm like,
Shane,
look at this
would
guy.
You get a man bun?
I actually translated it. I actually translated it to be like, this guy is God. He should be playing often. Like, I was
do you know what's really scary, Shane? Really scary with Francisco Sirialta. And scary in a good way, right? The man is 23 years of age.
I know.
What on earth? I genuinely didn't even realise how young he is and how good he is. I mean, physically, is it a stretch to say he's one of the best defenders we've had in recent times? I can't think of many better in the last 10 years or so. There's been obviously a few. But in terms of in the Pozzo era, I can't think of many top.
I'm thinking maybe Gabriel Angela is the other one I'd maybe think of. I like Prodal, to be honest with you, when he first came off.
Yeah, I like Prodal.
Britos, that first season was fantastic. Like, that solid defensive partnership that we had in that season. Gabriel Angela would be the other one.
He's quality, isn't he, Shane Francisco?
This is my worry, mate. This is my worry with him. If we don't go up, he's going to be snapped up by someone. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
For sure.
And that's a worry. But he's doing very well. And listen, as I said at the top, it's 6 points. It's 2 massive wins for Watford. We now need to kind of keep this going. I think the attention for fans, of course, we're still thinking about last week. And of course we are. In the words of Cisco, I allowed myself to have a beer. And now,
what beer of choice, Shane? I'm going to guess. I reckon you're...
Go on.
Can you give me the first letter? Just because there's loads of beers in there.
C.
Oh, it's either a Carlsberg, Carling, or Corona. Now, I think if Watford did fans, Shane it would be done by Carlsberg for Shane. I'm gonna go Carlsberg. Yeah. If Carlsberg did Watford fans, Shane out.
Nah, listen, man. Listen, as Cisco said, we will allow ourselves to have one beer. He's very strict about that, one beer. And then we kind of move on, and thoughts must turn to next weekend. And I think...
How you feeling for that one, mate?
listen, I said, I think a few weeks ago, after we drew 0-0 to Coventry, in the first one of these in the series, of course, that we did, and I said to myself, the Cardiff game right now is looking like a mammoth task for us to get up to. Obviously, the saying goes, of course, a lot of Watford fans have been saying it. I know Mike Duffy, shout out to him. I know he was of course, on the match day. He was on the match review for the Wickham game.
Great
he said, whenever we're at
on.
Vicarage Road, I just feel so much more comfortable, so much more confident. I felt that yesterday. Away from home, I'm still quite jittery for it. I really am. And all right, Cardiff didn't play particularly well against Huddersfield on Friday night. They actually should have lost that game because of the, and they would have done if Sonoga hadn't missed the pen. But it's a big game for us. We need to and this is the very weird thing about this weekend is that, so I should say next weekend, is that the last 2 weekends we've actually played before our promotion rivals. Next Saturday, we actually play after them both. Brentford play on the Friday night, Swansea, I think, on the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday. So we're going to be going into the game having known what the other sides have done. Now, we were lucky this weekend. Brentford, of course, their match was postponed. They'll have another game in hand, but another midweek game towards the end of the season, maybe piles the pressure on them slightly more as well at that stage. Am I confident right now? Am I confident for the game? I am confident we will get a result. You should maybe talk to me at like 2:30, 4 on next Saturday, and I'll be able to see what kind of result we'll get depending on the team and all that. Cardiff City are going to be up for it. Mick McCarthy, I said it last week, he's done an absolutely Herculean job to turn things around there, and he deserves a lot of credit for what he has done. Him, Neil Warnock as well, of course, they were incredibly unlucky yesterday. But those guys have done a fantastic job. And what Richie Fox says there, we have a full week of training. That in itself is absolutely massive. I don't know. Do Cardiff have a midweek game, or are they?
Let me just double check,
games
mate.
in midweek. I didn't actually know that there was actually there were a few COVID, I think, postponed matches that are now being played this week.
They don't.
They don't. Okay, fine.
No.
So they have
week off for each team.
So it's an ideal chance for Cisco to try out new things. And obviously, I know, we kind of say that, and all that, and I'm sure there's time for that. But I think the biggest thing about this week is that the players will have a rest. The players won't be getting on a plane to go to Lancashire or to go to Yorkshire or traveling back in the hotel rooms. And we're not going to see Ben Foster try out his Travelodge bed, and bounce on it and all that stuff. But that's a big thing as well, because whilst we see the players in those kind of vlogs and we see the players, training and on their way to the matches and kind of turning up for the games and all that, deep down, they're putting on a smile for the cameras, Vamos, etc. Deep down, they must be. I mean, and especially if you're someone like Ken Sema and Ismail Assar, who haven't had a rest as of yet, those guys are probably thinking, "Oh Christ, I could do with. I just want to sleep."
I think Ken in particular. You can tell he needs it. He needs a rest.
I think Ken does need a rest. I could tell. Earlier on today, of course, he was found in an ice bath. I think he might well stay there for the next couple of days. And that's kind of the thing. But in answer to your question, am I confident for next Saturday? Yes, I'm confident we can get a result. I want to say we'll get the win. I do genuinely want to say that because it'll be a huge marker if we're able to do that. Cardiff, they're a rejuvenated side. They're really pushing for the playoffs. And I think it'd be a very big win for us if we were able to do that. Rotherham away on Tuesday midweek, that's another big game, but it's a different kind of big game because they're fighting for their lives, right? They're going to have a very similar approach to things as Wickham did. Turn up, play for a draw. If we can walk away from the home ground, the New York Stadium, with
New York
Stadium, the New York Stadium with a point, fantastic, job done. We've kind of nullified a big promotion, a big promotion threat in this division. It is also worth bearing in mind as well with Cardiff that they are a very tough side. They are the only one of two sides to beat us at Vicarage Road this season.
I was there that day. Wasn't great.
Kiefer, yeah.
No, wasn't great.
It was, yeah, and it was one of those games again, and I saw all the fans being there. The first time the fans were back in, and I was gutted. I was gutted for the team. I was gutted as well for the fans that had kind of been there, and It was all very kind of big. The fans coming out, yes, we're back at Vicarage Road, and the team played with a bit of a whimper, really. We can't afford to see that. Cardiff are going to be bang up for it. I just hope we can play with the same kind of intensity. I think if we score the first goal, we'll be okay. As long as we did what we did against Blackburn, cut out the silly errors at the back, but more importantly, like we did against Blackburn, we get the first goal, great. Get that second goal. The second goal is crucial. If we're able to get that, be as solid defensively as we can, then we'll be okay. But the set piece situations, I think, for Cardiff are going to be crucial. You've got Kiefer Moore, who scored at the Vic. Christ, they scored from a corner kick. The one thing that we were told before the game to not do is to give them a corner, mark up tightly from a corner. What do? We don't mark up tightly from a corner. Let's see if the players have learned their lesson. It was a different manager back then, but the same set of players. The players are not silly. They're footballers. They love their game. They love their trade. They love their craft. At the end of the day, they need to know. They need to work on the mistakes. And the players keep on saying, we will learn from our mistakes. We will build and go again. We will take what we've done from this game and we'll put it right. We need to see signs that they put things right next Saturday. And as you've said, if we're able to get a result, if we're able to, touch wood, come away with the 3 points, that for me will be a big marker. We'll set down a very big marker, I think, for the rest of the season in turning up at a potentially tough ground against tough opposition and getting a result. That is what you simply must do. And we've spoken about it. It's been mentioned a lot in like the general in the championship media this week. The odd refereeing decision going wrong for a team. In Swansea City. At the end of the day, they come out of this week with 6 points. We've got to do the same. We've got to chance our luck. We've just got to go for it. And if at the end of the day, it does kind of lead to, a pushing and we grabbed, a 90th minute winner, a big equaliser in a game, that would be huge for them. You look at the point that Swansea gained unfairly in midweek, that could be massive for them. The 3 points they gained yesterday, they were barely in that game, I thought, at times. Honestly, from the parts that I did see. But they came away with 6 points. We've got to do that. As the saying goes, everything evens out throughout the course of the season. We've not really had that this season, I don't think. Obviously, chances have come for opposition teams. We've been lucky, but we've got to take our chances. And if we rely on a little bit of luck, sometimes you just need it. And I just feel like at some point within the next few weeks, our luck will be in. And we'll potentially win a game that we maybe don't deserve to win, potentially. But
we'll be back here next week, Shano.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think it's important as well. I do genuinely want to touch on something that Sam actually said yesterday. I think it was in the match review. The fact that it is a joy to watch Watford Football Club play at the moment. There was a period of time, start in like the new year, not so much the new year, I should say that, earlier on in the season, whereby things were kind of dragging a little bit. We weren't sure if we were going to be in that, in the promotion push. Are we going to be lucky to make the playoffs? I think the last few weeks have demonstrated that we are going to be up there come the end of the season, barring a dramatic drop-off. Unfortunately, Norwich did get the win in midweek, and I think, as a lot of people have said, I think Norwich will go up as champions, and fair play to them as well, because I kind of look back with maybe a little bit of regret, and I look back at the start of the season and think, if we were maybe playing a 4-3-3, if we were maybe playing players to their strengths, etc., if other results had maybe gone our way, we could be potentially up there. We could maybe have been challenging, because we've kind of maintained that form in the last few matches. We've been building. The players have been growing in their positions. Players like Sarr now look like a completely different player to what they did before Christmas. Players like João Pedro, who looks happy to be playing football. You could see the relief when we got the 3 points yesterday. Joe Hungbo's emergence as well. It's all kind of coming together. When you see players like Tom Dele-Bashiru, I've never seen a man on a treadmill make me so happy before in all of my life. But when I saw that clip, I thought it's all kind of coming together. Those injured players towards the start of the stream, the injured players are coming back. The Avengers are assembling. We just need to knuckle down for the next few months, next couple of months or so. Knuckle down, iron out the silly defensive errors, and please stop giving the fans a heart attack, because it's not funny or fair or anyone. Just go out and just try and go for it, And ultimately, listen, if we do that, we'll be able to have more you'll be able to experience more happier Saturday afternoons. Yesterday
and Sunday nights with Shane. That's game, another thing.
And Sunday nights as well. Yesterday was fantastic. The game finished. It was great. I chucked on a bit of final score. I saw Garth Crooks. I was even happier. Or less happier. You can do that as applicable. But it was fantastic. And it was great going into yesterday afternoon, knowing the week that we've had, we've done the job. We've delivered. And now let's see. Let's put the pressure on everyone else. Next Saturday is going to be different. The pressure is going to be on us to perform. It's going to be a really big one for us. But if we just knuckle down for the next couple of months, I'm sure we'll be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. And I want us to be, because I think given the year that we've had, football slowly but surely coming back, fans, I think there's a lot of positivity about that, fans potentially coming back. I heard earlier on today, last 2 matches of the Premier League season. They're looking to potentially the last game of the Championship season, or the last round of fixtures for that. That's not been confirmed yet. But even if we don't get into a stadium this season, if we're able to knuckle on down, if we're able to grind out the results, play a little bit of unattractive football to get those wins in games where we've maybe not been 100%, we will be reaping the rewards come next season. And I'll be able to post up an Instagram story and a picture of me in a Watford shirt with a Premier League anthem going in the background. And you can all love it and you can all like it. And
Shane, if we get promoted, we're both having a Carlsberg, mate. We're both going to having a cheeky Carlsberg. Absolutely. It's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen. Yeah, Shane, it's been an absolute pleasure tonight.
And then after that as well, we're going to hang around Vicarage Road. I'm going to wait for Keith Andrews to come up the commentary box. And I'm going to give him a massive hug as well. Even though that'll lead to me being blocked off the commentary box entrance in the near future. But
Shane, it's been an absolute pleasure.
If we do the hard work, we can absolutely reap the rewards in the summer and look forward to a full stadium, being back with fans, back with away games. A very sad day today, of course. The last time we were all at Selhurst Park, or some of us at least were at Selhurst Park. It's been a year, and it's felt like so much longer, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah.
And I think kind of looking back, I had a few photos. I think as well. I think I even posted one up as well on Insta, and kind of looking back at the pictures, a lot of pictures of fans as well. That I took, and the beer before the game. It's the little things like that I've missed. The camaraderie. Knuckle down. We'll be back. Fans will be back, supporting our team, and ultimately back in our happy place, as it were.
Oh, Shane, you're a man with words. Unbelievable. Top draw. Shane, it's been an absolute pleasure tonight, mate. Thanks so much for joining me.
To be fair.
We'll be back.
No problem, man.
We'll be back next Sunday for another episode of Sunday Night with Shane. Pleasure as always. Thank you to all of you who watched tonight. Really is appreciated. And if you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Make sure you go and follow Shane on his Twitter and Instagram to get involved with his content. He does stuff not only on WD18, but on his socials as well. So make sure you go and give him a follow. As I said, if you enjoyed, please do leave a like. Comment down below what you made of it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And come on, you Hornets. Jano, over to you.